This is the biggest museum in all of Minecraft, sitting at over 3.6 million blocks. I think it'll make the perfect little spawn build, because in comparison to some of my other builds, my spawn's lame. Really lame. So I started off by clearing out some small hills that were in the way, and with the haste 2, this was taking no time at all. And fortunately, my spawn is relatively flat, but these trees will have to go. Nothing a little arson can't fix. I don't even need to create a barrier to prevent the fire from spreading, because this build is so big that I need this entire area cleaned, and the rivers act as a natural barrier. With the arson successful, I have made an immortal enemy in the Lorax, but the first step of our build is complete. Moving on from the terraforming, the next order of business is building up a foundation, but this is all the andesite I have to build it. Not to worry though, it's not too hard to get, just mine underground. That's simple. My last project used a ton of andesite as well, so I headed over there and I found some spare andesite to minimize the mining that I actually had to do. And now we've got all the andesite we need in these shulker boxes here. The area has been sufficiently cleared out. It's about time I actually got started building those, so let's build up this andesite wall. Now that the andesite's in place, the scale of this thing is really coming to light. You'll notice I left these spaces in between the walls. That's because I have little quartz pillars things in the foundation. These pillars will consist of quartz, sea lanterns, end rods, glass, and concrete. All blocks I really don't have farms for. But since the final build is going to be made up almost entirely of these 5 basic blocks, it is important I create an automatic source for each one of them. The first block that we're going to tackle is quartz. Conveniently, I already have a system to get quartz. I have a gold farm in a piglin bartering system, which can create infinite gold that can then be traded to piglins, who have a 4.36% chance of dropping quartz. I can then use the quartz that I get from the piglins to craft quartz blocks, which will then need to be smelted to make smooth quartz. So I got a bot to AFK the gold farm while crafting up a whole bunch of gold. I then can take this gold from here, fly it all the way to the nether, where I have my piglin bartering station. I'll just chuck the gold in here and let these guys trade. While waiting for the quartz, I built a full guardian farm for the sea lanterns. This farm is pretty simple actually in the way that it works. Also, ignore this beacon right here. I had a brain fart, okay? Now, if you're unfamiliar, one sea lantern is crafted using 4 prismarine shards and 5 prismarine crystals, which conveniently can be obtained by killing a guardian. So this guardian farm here automatically transports guardians into nether portals, killing them with fall damage. Their drops are then sorted automatically into shulker boxes, and since we need over 100,000 sea lanterns, we can let this run in the background while we turn our attention to the nearly 800,000 concrete that I'm going to need. This should be fairly easy though, because in the stronghold I already have a gravity block duper built. This machine can infinitely generate any block affected by gravity, such as sand or, more importantly, concrete powder. This duper works by using the end dimension to duplicate the block. Now, having all this concrete powder is great, but if I can't turn it to normal concrete automatically, I'll be very unhappy. I do already have a semi-automatic concrete converter, but that requires me to manually place blocks, and well, I'm too lazy for that. So instead, I built the Flingoer 5000. This state-of-the-art machine, well, flingos the concrete powder. Some slime block wizardry puts the powder into a ring next to some water, instantly converting it. It is then pushed downwards and exploded. Oh, this is just too good. We've already got so much concrete. Getting all the glass is by far the easiest, because as I was just saying, the gravity block duper can dupe any gravity block, including sand. And I built up a super smelter last video, so all I have to do is transport the sand from the end, pop the sand in the smelter, and then soon enough we'll have plenty of glass. While that's turning to glass, let's figure out how to get end rods. Now, I could literally just go to end cities and start robbing their end rods on the floating structures, but I'm gonna need over 100,000 end rods for this entire build, so I don't think that's the most practical choice. And in my storage system here, I have 3 end rods, so that's not going to be nearly enough. However, a less known fact about end rods is that if you combine a blaze rod and a popped chorus fruit, you can actually craft end rods. So I'm off to go make myself a blaze farm. And here's the spawner we're going to use for the blaze farm. I need to start off by clearing out some area around here. And now I just need to build the box on where they're going to spawn and eventually be killed. And I get infinite blazes. Wonderful. But before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know that I'm currently in a sub race with my friend Divi. We are both closing in on 200,000 subscribers with a goal of 250,000. Currently he's in the lead, but with your help, I know we can overtake him. So if you're liking what you're seeing so far, make sure to subscribe. While that blaze farm is running, we built up a chorus fruit farm. This farm will allow us to get all the chorus fruit that we need for the end rods, and it also looks pretty cool if you ask me. And I totally forgot to make a clip on how it works after we built it, and now it's slightly broken. But essentially, in an ideal world, there's course here that grows, and then the TNT falls and blows it up. This is now in the editing stage, and we have plenty of popped cores. All farms will be linked in the description if you wish to go check it out. I can then take this chorus, bring it over to the super smelter to have it be smelted into popped chorus, and then when combined with the blaze rods that I've got from this guy being AFK here, we can definitely cross end rods off of our list. Let's revisit our checklist for the pillars. The gold farm and piglin trader have been being AFK'd in the background and got us a ton of quartz. I also spent last night crafting all that up, so we should be good on quartz. During this process, I've also run the guardian farm, which produced plenty of the ingredients to make the sea lanterns. Now that we've gathered all the materials, it's about time we get started. But these pillars that I'm building are tiny in comparison to the scale of the rest of the build. So make sure you keep watching because this build is going to get insane real fast. We're talking millions of blocks. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, but I think it looks pretty cool. My museum now has an Among Us on each one of these pillars, a beautiful viewing. And at night, they look so much better. I will eventually have to work to connect these pillars to the ground, because right now they're just floating, but that's another day's problem. I want to get started on the floor of the build. The other server member, Joe, has already set up a couple beacons around here to speed up the process, so let's just hop right into building. The first section of the floor is now done, but we've run out of beacon real estate. Fortunately, we were running our wither skeleton farm while we were building this, so let's head over there and see how many skulls he's got. You know, a stack and a half isn't too crazy, but it will definitely get us a few more beacons. And now we just do the good old slap him in the face until he dies. Dude, this floor is looking absolutely sick. The amount of beacons that were placed to actually be able to do this is insane. And it looks so cool once it gets a little dark out because all these pathways light up completely. And the scale of this thing is really coming to life. But now we need to go into the third dimension. So far, this is just a flat surface. And you'll notice I've left square holes going around the edge of the circle, in these hallways, and along the edge here. These are for massive pillars, and it's about time we've built them. We are pretty depleted on the quartz side of things. I've got no more stairs, only a couple more slabs, and hardly any more blocks. That's why I've got our friend Gold online, and he's AFKing the gold farm as we speak. While he's doing that though, there's one new block that these pillars introduce, copper. And thankfully, they've made copper farms, so all I gotta do is get the materials to build it. And using Lightmatica, I can pull up the material list in the bottom right hand corner of my screen here, and then by enabling auto collect material list item, like so, all I have to do is click on chests and it'll take the materials out of the chests into my inventory. For example, I just clicked on the chests that have concrete, glass, and redstone, so it grabbed all those materials. If I click on this redstone chest here, it grabbed a whole bunch more materials. If you're interested in my mod pack, join the Discord, I have it linked. And after getting all these materials just by clicking on the chests, it looks like I have to collect the rest by hand, because unfortunately, I don't really have 4 stacks of fences lying around. That's not a problem though, I've got lots of wood. Twisting vines are easy enough, because all I have to do is plant this and spam the bone meal. That's a good start. Just gotta fly up here now. This is much faster. Water buckets, and a white shulker box. I doubt it has to be white, but we'll get one anyway. And with that, all the materials are now collected. Let's go build the thing. Wahoo! I'm gonna build it in the end so it's out of the way, because this thing can get pretty laggy, and there is absolutely nothing else better to do in the end. So if we go through this portal here, floating over the void here should do the trick. Alright, now that we've got the copper farm right here, we can try to actually run this thing. The problem is, to run it, you need 5 zombies in it. Can you shut up? And there aren't 5 zombies anywhere close, so we gotta go get them from the overworld. But you can see there's a bit of a gap between our copper farm and the main island where they will spawn in. With the help of this flying machine here, we can just craft an ice highway out of thin air. Okay, I may have accidentally built this backwards for the first time, but we don't talk about that. Now let's get this thing up and running. All I have to do is destroy this obsidian here and trigger some sort of piston. Probably this one here. So let's see if it works. No, no, it did. So it turns out this bridge maker doesn't work in the version I'm in. Well, that was a colossal waste of time. Let me just do a rail line. That will be much simpler. Okay, so I'm a bit of a bot and I forgot to start recording, but I've trapped 2 zombies up here in this little hole. And now if I stand here, they should fall in like so. And if I head in after them, perfect. They're right here and for the most part undamaged. Now the trick here is to climb up and get them all into minecarts. But we also don't want them falling off the edge either because, well, that wouldn't be ideal. If I give them a little extra space to work with and then push one in, beautiful. Now for the second, come on. Yep, that's 2. And the third, okay, I only brought 2 minecarts. You, sir, are gonna have to come with me and you can have a new forever home right here. Okay, well, just go here. So now I can just use a furnace minecart powered by charcoal and send them on their way. And look at them all ready and waiting for me. But I got the zombies in here and you can see right there, they're now drowns. So in theory, if I start whacking this armor stand here, the drowns will get mad and then start summoning reinforcements, which will then create new zombies on these paths here and allow me to get even more copper once they turn into drowns. So let's give this a whirl. I just have myself attack every 45 ticks. Oh, we've already got a zombie spawning there and there. Perfect. Yep, 1 here and a couple more here. This is working beautifully. So I'm just gonna AFK this and we'll see how much copper we get. Holy zombies. All right, well, let's see what an overnight session of this lag fest will give me. Okay, so the server crashed last night and I can see why. I quite literally have 1 FPS right now. I am moving so... I think I have less than 1. I have 0 FPS. Oh, and the server just crashed again. That's gonna be an issue. Okay, so I ended up having to restore a backup. So this was before last night, before I ran it. But that's okay because our server is alive and well once again. And we still have some zombies in there to get it going. Although instead of the fastest speed, which I had it on previously, I'm just gonna run it on slowest. Because like 6,000 zombies in one place is way too many. Alright, so I just got back from AFKing it, and it is still pretty laggy, but let's see how much copper we got. Okay, you know what? I'll take it. This is a solid amount of copper. This will not by any means get us all we need, but that's over 3 shulker boxes of blocks. I need 9 shulker boxes of blocks, but you know, we'll just have this AFK in the background. It has been over a week since that last clip. In that week, I have played way too much repo, but I've also been doing a lot of AFKing. A lot of AFKing at the gold farm, the piglin trader, the copper farm, and the super smelter. And now, I think we have enough materials to do all 186 pillars, give or take. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, this build needs to, you know, we need a fast forward, get a 2x speed going because we are behind schedule. Okay, so I've made some pretty solid progress on all the pillars here. You can see I started here, made my way all around the outside, and I'm about 3/4 of the way done. This guy is a work in progress. But I'm running a bit low on quartz. I've used a lot of it, and I'm getting pretty sick and tired of the current way I'm crafting gold. Let me explain. As of right now, this is my gold crafting setup, and what I do is I take the gold from inside these chests, spit it out like so, grab it, bring it over here and fill these chests up with it, and it automatically spits it out for me. I'll then stand here and craft up all the gold that I just inputted. After a couple of seconds, all the gold has been crafted, and I input it into this shulker box loader here, which will automatically break the shulker box when it's full, sending it to this chest area down here, where I've got all the shulker boxes of gold. Now this requires a lot of manual labor, too much manual labor. And you know how we roll around here, everything's automatic, so I'm gonna automate this. First, I started off by building a system that will load all the gold ingots into shulker boxes. Now when I'm crafting about 2.5 million items an hour. So we need a lot of these guys. I then built up a system that'll take the gold nuggets straight out of the storage system and input it into the crafter. And the time spent building it was definitely worth it because I can just sit here pretty much AFK and get all the gold I need. Okay, this is looking really cool. Especially at night, all the sea lanterns pop like crazy. And yes, I've almost placed 3 million blocks now. These pillars took a lot longer than I expected, and part of the reason that is because they're super intricate. I'm hoping that the rest can be a little bit more speedy. But for right now, I definitely want to move away from quartz, because I think I'm gonna have some quartz nightmares if I keep placing this stuff. And the fact that, you know, we have to wait to craft more and stuff. Quartz is really hard to get. Now, I want to get started on the outside walls, and the walls are going to be made out of concrete, specifically gray concrete. So I got to head over to the end to check out our concrete duper and make sure that's still functional, because we're about to be putting it to work. But this build is going to be so huge and looks so amazing once it's done, so make sure you stick around to see the final result. Now, this portal right here leads to my stronghold, where I have my gravity block duper here. And right now, we're duping a whole bunch of different colors of blocks, but I just want to dupe gray. So unfortunately, you guys gotta go, and they will be replaced with our gray concrete powder. And now let's make sure that this system is working as well. And it's a good thing I checked, because we've got a TNT missing down here. That would have been bad. Gotta fix this observer and replace the TNT and add that moss block. We are good to go. Got the concrete powder spawning in and exploding, all good. So we can use these to start, and then if we need more, we'll have some. Oh, and I purposely left these two things blank because we're gonna have massive pillars go here that are different from all the other pillars. It's like a cool entrance thing, but we'll worry about that later. This thing's looking awesome. We're at 3.2 million blocks placed. Light work. I feel like I'm saying this every single time, but the walls, they're making this thing feel real big. The next step in the process is to build the tops of these pillars, but I've got to go to prom first, so I'll do that while you guys watch the replay. This whole outside is coming together real nice, and these walls are getting super tall. Compared to this village, this one wall is absolutely massive, and compared to the whole thing, this one wall is tiny. Unfortunately though, I'm a bit low on quartz again, and I was just coming to the super smelter here to smelt up all this quartz, and I realized that I'm running dangerously low on fuel. Only a couple shulker boxes of coal won't do the job. Fortunately though, we've got our tree farm right here. If I head inside here, and now if I put a bot right here, we'll just spawn in acacia, and I click the farm on. As soon as I tell acacia to use every 1 interval, the trees start growing, the pushers start pushing, and the wood gets outputted right here. And then once shulker boxes have been collected, I'll just take them and bring them over to the super smelter. These shulker boxes of logs will be then converted into shulker boxes of charcoal, which will then be put back into the system as more fuel. It's essentially an infinite fuel source. We are so close to finishing this thing, and it is looking insane. And obviously the next step is going to be to add a roof. And one of the main blocks in the roof is dark prismarine. Unfortunately, our guardian farm that we built earlier will give us all the prismarine shards that we need, but the other ingredient is black dye. And if we head on over to the end, I have this wither rose farm here, and wither roses can be converted into black dye just by crafting it. According to my calculations, I'm gonna need over 100 shulker boxes of black dye, which means over 100 shulker boxes of wither roses. And here's the storage for our wither rose farm, and honestly, initially I didn't think this would be enough, but I actually have a pretty decent sized storage here. So I'm just gonna let this thing AFK and collect all the wither roses when it's full. And now the second and final new item that I'll need for the roof is light blue stained glass. And if you are unaware, blue dye is really annoying to get. Oh, that shulker just died. Well, at least in my experimenting, it's like one of the least common flowers. And I've already got a flower farm right here, but I have to hook it up to a storage system because right now, that's where all the flowers go. Wait, I should probably also connect the bone meal farm to this. That way it can run infinitely. And now with this water stream right here hooked up, it should import bone meal from the bone meal farm over there, send it through the flour farm, through these hoppers right here, and any excess bone meal will get sent away, up here, and back into the bone meal storage. The flours from the flour farm come all the way up here, into this thing right here, which then funnels it into here, where as soon as I get enough corn flours, I'm gonna replace one of the filters here to be a corn flour sorter instead of a red thingy sorter. So it's time for some AFK. And while that flour farm is running, I think the wither rose farm shouldn't have got enough wither roses. So let's go head over there and start loading those up into shulker boxes. I'm gonna make a platform behind the chest so that it's easier to load up into shulker boxes. And remember, I'm gonna be using all these wither roses to craft up dark prismarine. And that dark prismarine is one of the main components of the entire roof. And this should be a decent start for the wither roses. And now all I gotta do is bring them back to the mainland and craft them up into black dye. Once they're all into black dye, I can input them into the mass crafter. And using all the prismarine shards that I've collected at the Guardian farm, I can mass craft hundreds of thousands of dark prismarine. And now that I've crafted all of this dark prismarine here, this should be enough for what we need for the roof. So we might as well get started. And hopefully by the time that we finish building up the dark prismarine, we'll have plenty of blue flowers to craft up all of our glass. Alright, close to 200,000 dark prismarine later, we have finished with all the dark prismarine on the roof. Now, most of this open space that you see is just going to be glass with a little bit of quartz sprinkled in. But as you know, we already have plenty of quartz and a really easy system to get any more. So that just leaves the glass. And if we head over here to check on the flower farm status, let's see how much blue dye we're gonna be able to make. Okay, that's not too bad. We got almost 2 rows of blue flowers. And I was also smelting some sand, so we should have some glass right here. We've got quite a bit of glass. Okay, 2 double chests should be a great start. Now all I gotta do is turn the flowers into blue dye, turn that into light blue dye, and then craft it with the glass. And then I can start building. So let's go do that now. Alright, well, a couple 100,000 blocks later, and all of this glass is now in place, and we've even got some blue beacons. But as you can see, we're still missing a lot of the roof, and there are these gaps that I left in the glass, which need to be filled in, as well as the area in the center and right here. So let's quickly wrap up the rest of this roof. Yeah, we're back to crafting gold. I realized I need more quartz. This is by far one of the biggest projects I've ever done, if not the biggest. This entrance is absolutely insane, and my spawn point is right here. The inside is just as breathtaking. All these pillars that I built, so many hours, but it was so worth it. Now you'll notice there's a big hole in the center, and if we also come down these hallways, these rooms are still empty. Now I have plans to fill up these rooms and complete the center of the build, but it's simply too much for one video. So that's why I won't be removing all these beacons, because there's still more to come. So if you want to see what I do with the rest of this build, make sure to stick around and subscribe. And give me suggestions on what to put inside of it. And these hallways are just so cool. Alright, see you.